Hey rock buds, Papa here. Let's ID some more rocks. This is a gray rock. It's got white specks in it. Little white lines and things. Would you say it's igneous? It's possible, but it doesn't look igneous to me. If you see a gray rock with white streaks in it, like you have here, a few white streaks. Where's my knife? You can just about bet it's limestone. Okay, so let's test this gray rock with some hydrochloric acid, 5% solution. If it's truly limestone, it should fizz. And looky there, it fizzes instantly. So we know without a doubt that's limestone. We got another one here that's got the same characteristics. Let's see, it's gray rock with white streaks in it. By George, limestone. But also, limestone, you can easily scratch it with a knife. It's soft. You can never do this with quartz. Anything that has quartz in it, you could never scratch it with a knife like that. Easily scratched. So this is limestone. This is Conasauga limestone, or it could be Knox limestone from the Eastern Rift-to-Drift sequence, and I'll explain that. After Rogenia rifted apart, the ancient North American continent began to sink. That always happens after a rifting event. Why? Because just before a supercontinent rifts apart, it's bulged up by all the heat underneath it. Where does all that heat come from? It comes from the mantle, because a supercontinent covers so much of the mantle. It's just like putting a top on a boiling pot of water. It boils quicker, and that giant supercontinent caused heat to develop very fast underneath it, and that pushed the whole thing up. After rifting occurred, it sank back down, and as the continent sank, a layer of sandy beaches came in. The continent sank some more, and then mud covered those sandy beaches. The continent sank some more, and then limey mud, which is limestone, covered that. And so by this just happened during Cambrian time, from about 550 million years ago to about 500 million years ago, as the continent was sinking. A layer of sandstone, which we call it the Chilhowie sandstone. In the Grand Canyon, it's called the Tapete sandstone. It covered the whole country. And then the mud came and covered the sand, and then finally the limestone. And this is either Conasauga, which is Cambrian limestone, or it could be Knox limestone. I can't remember which. This is what it underlies the Great Valley that runs all the way up the eastern United States. And this is also very calcium rich. And you know what calcium does to the soil. It enriches it greatly, and it's a great place for not only for growing crops, but also for rich natural ecological habitats where plants and animals thrive. And that's what made it so productive and attractive for Paleo Indians. There's all kind of cool game species in this area, and also the Great Valley was a transportation corridor where they could easily move northeast and southwest all the way up and down the East Coast to hunt, fish, and later on farm. So limestone. You can see this rock has a fine matrix embedded with large hunks of roundish quartz. So, now, a buddy of mine said this has got to be concrete, but it's not concrete, because concrete, the rocks that they put into concrete are not quartz hunks. They usually use gravel, which is either going to be granite or granite gneiss, or even maybe limestone rock if up in the Ridge and Valley area. So, and you can tell these quartz hunks are rounded on their edges. So, picture a stream. Let's put this up here. Picture a stream bed. And up in the mountains, the stream is strong and it can pick up hunks of quartz this size and small, finer material of mud. It starts bringing them down. And as it brings all this material all globbed up and mixed up down the drainage area of the stream gets larger and wider as tributaries come into it. It also gets slower because it's wider. It's like, if you got the hose running without the nozzle and you put your thumb over the hole, it comes out faster. And that's the same thing, and under more pressure, that's the same thing as being up high in the mountains. You get more pressure. Once you get down into the lowlands, the whole thing widens out and you get more volume but less pressure. And so the water in the stream can no longer hold these big pieces, so it drops them out on the bottom. And year after year, millennia after millennia, you get a layer of pebbles on the bottom of the stream. And the stream washes over those pebbles, not petals, those pebbles, and rounds them. And then eventually the finer material will come in and infiltrate in with the pebbles and form the bottom of the stream. So yes, this is river conglomerate. River conglomerate. I don't know where this came from. It may have come from near Cumberland Gap, but I don't remember. Now, why is this not what I call turbidite sandstone? And that's a conglomerate-y looking rock that flowed quickly into rift basins when Rodinia was rifting apart. Well, the reason I know it's not that is because these quartz pieces are not angular around their sides. They're rounded around their edges. That means that they stayed in the stream a long, long time. It's hard to round off quartz, but streams do it if the quartz stays in a long time. Whereas in a rift basin, that material comes flying down from the highlands or horsts and is fairly quickly washed into the rift basin, so the quartz chunks don't have time to get rounded as much. And another reason that I know that it's conglomerate instead of rift graben material is I don't see any feldspar here. No feldspar, just quartz. So what does that tell us? That tells us that this material stayed in the stream a long time because feldspar will erode away quicker than quartz. And so if the material stays in the stream a long time, eventually the feldspar will disappear and you'll get all the quartz. Whereas with the rift basin material, you find feldspar hunks and quartz hunks in there, in the matrix, and that stuff is angular. Okay, next rock. This rock has both light and dark minerals in it. Let's look at it in the side view. Freshly cracked surface. By the way, you should always crack your rocks. I'm seeing a kind of a salt and pepper pattern. It's not super dark. It's not super light. It's kind of salt and pepper. If you add black and white together, you kind of get a grayish. Also, I notice it's thin. It's foliated. That means flattish, thinnish. And also, I see wavy bands here. Wavy bands. That tells me it's probably a metamorphic rock. Okay, so metamorphic rock, what are the possibilities? The possibilities are granite gneiss, which it ain't. It's too dark for granite gneiss. Biotite gneiss, which is a salt and peppery intermediate reaction rock. It could also be amphibolite, which is a mafic rock, mafic reaction rock. It looks to me like it's going to be either biotite / hornblende gneiss, or amphibolite. So how do you tell the difference? Okay, this black stuff, if this is biotite gneiss, this black stuff is going to be mostly biotite, right? And biotite is pretty soft, which means a nickel coin will scratch biotite. So let's try it. Lo and behold, excuse me, the nickel does scratch this stuff. See that grayish stuff? That's not the nickel. That scratches. So that tells me this is probably, the black stuff is very likely going to be biotite, not hornblende. Hornblende is too hard for a nickel to scratch it. And a knife ought to scratch the heck out of this stuff. And it does. The knife might be able to scratch hornblende, but probably not as easily as it's scratching this. So, a metamorphic rock, foliated. That means it's kind of flat. It's got metamorphic banding in it. A lot of biotites. What are we going to call it? Righto, biotite gneiss. Biotite gneiss. The Eastern Blue Ridge Geologic Province and the Inner Piedmont Geologic Province, both of which go up and down the East Coast. Up in Virginia, you got Chapawamsic, and the Wissahickon in Pennsylvania. You've got the Inner Piedmont and Eastern Blue Ridge down here. They're all island arc material that was pasted onto the continent during one of several tectonic crashing events. And crashing events are caused by subduction. Subduction creates and enlarges continents. And so when you have subduction, you're going to get every kind of magma and lava there is due to a process called fractional melting. One of those kinds of lava is an intermediate lava known as diorite. And it's one of those kinds of magma is diorite, which is an intermediate magma, and its above ground lava equivalent is andesite. If you take either one of those and metamorphose them, you get biotite gneiss. So when you see a lot of this biotite gneiss, you know you're looking at subduction, you're looking at island arc material. In the old days, they used to think biotite gneiss was the same thing as metagraywack, but it's not. Now we know once we learned about fractional melting and subduction, we realized that the magmas and lavas that were intermediate in reaction metamorphosed into biotite gneiss. They could also have metamorphosed into hornblende gneiss, which is just a little bit more mafic, and it has maybe a little bit more hornblende than biotite, and the hornblende won't scratch with a nickel. So, biotite gneiss. Okay, Rock Buds, hope you liked that and it was useful. And this is your Rock Papa saying happy rockin'. Pop out.